I always thought people who talk about food like it's something sacred are a little strange. Food is food. You're hungry, you eat. You're full, you stop. What's there to discuss? I spent 38 years working at a dairy processing plant, and I saw this sacred food from the inside, in the vats, in the pipes, in the numbers on the labels that had very little to do with what was actually inside the package. After that, the romance wears off pretty fast. But I'm 103 years old now, and the doctor at my 101st checkup, a young man maybe 40, looked at my results and was quiet for longer than usual. Then he looked up and said, "Mildred, if all my patients had numbers like yours, I'd be out of a job." I nodded and left. At home, I made myself a cup of tea and sat by the window. And for the first time in a long time, I thought, maybe there really is something to the way I live. Not in the sense that I'm some kind of phenomenon. No, just maybe I've been doing something right and didn't even know it. I've lived a long life, not an easy one, a long one. Those are different things. Easy I cannot call it. There was the war I remember as a child. There was the kind of work that started before sunrise. There were 4 kids I raised mostly on my own for a stretch. There was my husband Gerald, who I lost at 69. There were years when the money ran out before the month did. But I stood, and I'm still standing. And now people ask me, what's the secret? What do you eat? I'll tell you. But first I need to say something that most people don't want to hear. There is no secret. There is habit. There is consistency. There are things you do not because you read about them in a magazine, but because your body told you a long time ago, this is good, that isn't, and you learn to listen. That's all there is to it. But let's go through it one by one, because I don't want you to just walk away with a list. I want you to understand why. The first one is garlic. I know, sounds basic, but hear me out. At the plant where I worked, we processed vegetables for the food industry, garlic included. And I saw what they do to it, how it's processed, at what temperatures, how much of it actually survives the whole operation. I'll be honest with you, almost nothing. A nice smell, and that's about it. Everything living gets killed before it ever makes it into the package. I was maybe 37 at the time. I came home, took a head of fresh garlic, ate 1 raw clove just like that, nothing with it. The next morning, another one, and it just kept going from there. My husband Gerald said, "Mildred, you smell like a drugstore." I said, "That's fine, keep living." He lived to 74 and never complained much about his health either. Maybe it helped him too, who knows. Every day, 1 clove, raw, in the morning, for nearly 65 years. The second one is fermented dairy, not yogurt from the grocery store in a pretty little cup with probiotics written in small print on the back. I mean real kefir or cultured buttermilk, something alive, not the kind that sits on a shelf for 3 weeks without changing. I worked in dairy. I saw the difference between a living product and an industrially processed one. That difference is enormous, and most people can't see it because both things look about the same in the package. A live bacterial culture is something completely different from its industrial copy. My mother, a practical woman from rural Wisconsin, simple and wise, always kept a ceramic crock of cultured milk in the back of the refrigerator. It was food nobody talked about and nobody advertised. You just ate it because that's how it was. When I moved to the city and started working, I drifted away from it for a while, the way you drift from everything simple when you become a city person. Then I came back because something in my gut started saying, come back. Every morning, a glass of kefir or buttermilk before anything else. And here I want to stop and say something important. We all know we're supposed to eat right. All of us. That's not news. But we pretend we don't know, because the right way is harder than the wrong way, more expensive than the wrong way, and less immediately satisfying than the wrong way. That's a lie, by the way, but it's a comfortable lie. I lived that way myself for a stretch after I moved, until my gut started speaking louder than my convenience. The third one is walnuts. There's a story here. My mother-in-law, a woman I was first afraid of and then came to love more than my own mother, lived to 98. She lived in a small town outside of Madison and ate a handful of walnuts every single day. She didn't measure, didn't count. She just reached into an old wooden bowl that sat on the kitchen table, cracked them open, and ate. While we drank coffee, she cracked walnuts. While we talked, she cracked walnuts. It was like breathing. She used to say, the walnut looks like a brain for a reason. You eat walnuts, you think till the end. I laughed at that then. I don't dare laugh now. I'm 103 and I read without glasses. Read, not squinting and guessing. Actually read. The newspaper, a book, a recipe. Maybe it's the walnuts. Maybe it's genetics. Maybe I just got lucky. But I eat walnuts every day, a handful, just like she taught me. The fourth one, and I'm asking you to stop here and really listen, is water. Nothing special. Not from a mountain, not from a spring, not from an expensive bottle. Just water. In the morning, right when I get up, a glass of cold water before anything else. Sounds too simple? I thought so too. Until we had a training at the plant about dehydration and preservation processes in food technology. The presenter, a very serious woman from the University of Wisconsin, said one sentence I never forgot. Most people live in a state of chronic, mild dehydration and don't even know it. They think they're tired or irritable or sick. They're just thirsty. I came home that evening and put a glass on my nightstand. That was 1973. I never took that glass away. The fifth one is flaxseed oil. Here I have to be honest. I came to it late, somewhere around 60. Before that, I used vegetable oil like everyone else. But after I retired, I started reading more, paying more attention, and I came across an article about flaxseed oil written by a doctor, not a young content creator with pretty pictures, but an old man with a beard and 50 years of practice. He wrote plainly, without excitement, flaxseed oil is one of the few things that genuinely affects the condition of blood vessels when used consistently and in moderate amounts. I bought a bottle, smelled it, didn't like it, but I said to myself, Mildred, you've eaten worse. Eat it. 1 teaspoon in the morning, before food. I've done that for over 40 years now. Never grew to love the taste, but the results, those I grew to love. Here I want to stop and tell you something that isn't about food. If you're watching this and thinking, all right, I'll write down the list. Go buy it. Try it for a week. I understand you. I did the same thing when I was young. A week is not about health. A week is about the guilt you're trying to quiet by buying the right product. Longevity is not a week. It's not a month. It's a decision you make one day and never revisit. Not because you're strong, but because you understood this is just your normal life now. Not a diet, not a program, just how you live. I didn't think about health every day. I just lived a certain way, and my body answered me in kind. If what I'm saying feels close to something you already know, subscribe to this channel. There will be many more conversations like this one. Hit the bell so you don't miss them. It means something to me to know someone is listening. The 6th one is beets. Boiled, roasted, in soup, however you like, but regularly. At the dairy plant, I didn't work with beets, but Gerald had a garden, and there were always beets. Pickled, boiled, grated raw into salad. It was part of every week for as long as I can remember. When Gerald passed, our daughter took over the garden, but the beets stayed, because a body that's used to something good will ask for it on its own. A neighbor of mine, Beverly, she was maybe 80 at the time, told me once, Mildred, I haven't eaten beets in years, and I can't get my blood pressure under control. I brought her some beets. She started eating them. 3 months later, she told me her doctor had lowered her medication dose. I'm not saying beets cure anything. I'm saying that's not a coincidence. 2-3 times a week, without fail. Borscht, or whatever you want to call a good beet soup, isn't just comfort food. It's the wisdom of generations in a bowl. And the 7th, the last one. This isn't a product in the way you're expecting, but I can't leave it out, because without it, the first 6 don't amount to much. It's hunger. Not fasting, not some kind of diet, just the ability to be a little hungry, to push back from the table before you're completely full, to know the difference between I'm hungry and I'm bored, or I'm sad, or I'm lonely. Those are different feelings, but we mix them up our whole lives. I didn't learn this from a book. I learned it after Gerald died. When he passed, I was 69. For 3 days I didn't eat. I simply couldn't. And then on the 4th day, I felt real hunger, clean, physical, with nothing extra attached to it. I got up, made oatmeal, ate slowly, and something in me, I don't know how to explain it, something leveled out. The grief didn't pass, but I understood the difference between body and soul, that they each need different things, and mixing up what they're asking for, that's a mistake. Since then, I eat when I'm hungry. I stop before I've gone too far. Doesn't always work out. I'm only human. But I notice, and noticing is already half of it. I am 103 years old. I get up at 7, drink a glass of water, eat my garlic, drink my kefir, then oatmeal, walnuts, a little bread. Lunch, beet soup or something with beets, flaxseed oil, In the morning before food. Evenings, light. Always light. I don't go to the gym. I don't meditate. I don't read health books. I just live the way my mother-in-law taught me, the way my plant taught me, the way my doctor at 101 taught me, and the way my own gut taught me. You know what the strangest part is? The reporter who wrote about me for the local paper, a young woman, maybe 26, asked at the end, "Mildred, what's the most valuable thing about living such a long life?" I thought for a moment, and I said that I lived long enough to stop rushing. She wrote it down. I don't know if she understood it, but maybe you will. Because a long life doesn't begin with garlic, and it doesn't begin with kefir. It begins on the day you decide to pay attention to yourself, to your body, to the small and simple things that are in every single day and that are so easy to miss. That's what I live by for 103 years now. Thank you for staying with me till the end. If this conversation moved something in you, share it with someone you love and subscribe. There are many more evenings like this one ahead. I'm not going anywhere fast.